What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel, Lukey here. So in this one we're going to do a little tutorial on how to make a hip house track. So this is something that I wanted to do for a while. It's the first time I ever done it, but I feel like it came together very well, so I thought it'd be a good one to make a video on. So I'm going to give you a little listen and then I will break it down bit by bit. I'll show you how I found the acapella, the processing I done on the vocals, and how I built all the elements around that acapella that I found online. So yeah, I'm just gonna play it from here, give you a listen to all the important elements, and then we'll go through it piece by piece. So so the way I started this track was I found the sample I wanted online. So you can basically use any hip hop acapella. I wanted a hip house acapella specifically because I wanted the vibe from the late 80s, early 90s, and I have a few records like that, so I wanted something similar to that because anytime I play them they just go off. The place always erupts. The first time I heard them was on a beach party here in Barcelona, and it was an old track, but it just erupted the whole place, and it was kind of similar vibe to this. So what I done, I went on to Discogs and I put in hip hop or hip house acapella, and I found an old record with this acapella on it. But you can just go onto YouTube, you can find any hip hop acapella, hip house acapella, whatever you want really, and then you can just convert the YouTube video, or you can use this little extension. It's called, I think it's called Sampler or something. Yeah, it's a little Google Chrome extension called Sample, and you can just sample whatever's playing in the browser, or you can just record it any way you want really. So I found the sample first and then I built the track around that. So this is the sample in solo.
Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself. They're getting this groove, we're getting funky. The beat is working, 9 to 5. Your hips are jerking, grab your partner, move to the...
So I just cut out 8 bars. That was a full track. I just cut out a little 8-bar verse, and then I also put in another bit of the track because it wasn't all a rap verse. There was little bits. There was different bits in the sample. So I also used this as a little vox. So I got this part and this, and I layered them together. Oh. So that was just to break it up and make the arrangement a little bit more interesting, and I didn't want that hip house verse throughout the whole track. I only wanted it in little sections, and then I wanted to bring my own bit of flavour into it as well. So I started with the drums, so I'm going to just give you a little listen without the bass, just the drums alone. So I started with the drums. Very simple. I used a 909 drum rack. I used this loop. So I used that loop. Very simple. I just took out some of the transients because there was a bit too much reverb. and mud that I didn't want, so I just removed some of the transients and I brought the width down, the stereo width, just a little bit because it sounded a little bit messy. Then I added this 909 loop. So I only used the clap and the hats, and then I used the snares and the crash on the drop. Then I had this other loop. It's not a loop, sorry, it's just a hat. Yeah, I just sampled that out, I cut that out, it was a full loop, and I just sliced out that little hat because it sat well with the rest of the drums. And then this little tambourine that I always use, I sampled this from an old jazz record, and yeah, I just cut out this little part and I use it all the time because it gives it a nice little bit of swing. So I built the drums, and the acapella itself was 127 BPM and I was working in 128, so I didn't really need to warp it that much. It kind of sat in nicely. Usually when you're using like acapellas and vocals and stuff, you kind of have to warp them around the track, but this just came together. So yeah, I'll give you a little listen with the vocal. So then after I done the drums and the vocals, then I moved on to the bass because I knew I didn't want to make a bass and then be trying to fit the vocal around that, because the vocal's kind of the hook, the main part of the track. So I put that in first and then I tried to make the bass around that. So I had a few different options on the bass. So this one, the first one, was a little bit more serious, a little bit more straight. It didn't bounce as much, so this was the first option. Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself. We're getting this groove, we're getting funky. The beat is working, 9 to 5. Your hips are jerking, grab your partner, move to the music. You got the... Still works, but not the way I wanted it. I think this is the one I used. Yeah, I'll show you that last. Then I had this option. Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself. It works, but not as well as the notes that it chose. So this is the one we went with in the end. Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself. We're getting this groove, we're getting funky. The beat is just working, 9 to 5. It's a little bit more happy. So yeah, there's just more groove in it, and it just works better with the type of track I was making. So yeah, that's the bass and the vocal. So that was kind of the main section of the track. Once I nailed that down, I knew everything else would come together nicely. So yeah, that little vox part as well I put in, which is from the same sample, and that just works lovely with the drums and the bass too. So I'll give you a little listen to that. So I made all the sections separately. So I had this section with the acapella. Then I had this section. And then I made this section with the chord that I'm using, because I didn't want the chord in with the hip house verse, because I didn't want it to get in the way. So I kind of put them all separately. So I have this as well. Play it here. And that is my little organ that I made. You see me using this in a lot of tracks and a lot of the tutorials that I make. I made this with my friend in the studio. He asked me how to make a good organ sound, and the preset sounded I'm not going to say shit, but it didn't sound great alone. It didn't have much power in it, so I used this little plug in from Waves, and I put the gate compressor on it and a little bit of delay. These are other options that I sometimes use. Sounds perfect like that. I have the chord MIDI effect on from Ableton, 12 semitones, 7 semitones. And yeah, the little vox that I cut out of the sample sounded perfect with that, so I'll give it a listen all together now. So that little bit, that's in the same pattern as the chord, you see. I had a different pattern going, but it sounded a little bit more messy, so I was like, right, I'll try put it on kind of the same sequence as the chord, and yeah, it just worked. Like, you can see how simple this track is. With all the groups, there's only 15 channels, so if you take away the groups, there's 13 channels in the track. There's not a whole lot in it, but yeah, simplicity is key in this one. So yeah, they're all the important elements. So then the arrangement, I wanted to give everything space, and it's something that I'm only learning to do better in the last while, is kind of let everything breathe in the mix. I used to always try jam everything in together, but you're better off giving stuff space. So yeah, the arrangement kind of repeats itself a little bit. So that vox in first with the bass. So I didn't want to bring the acapella in too early, so I wanted it as a little bit of an element of surprise, but it still sounds interesting at the start of the track. And then when that acapella comes in, you're kind of like not expecting it, and then the chord comes in, which you're not expecting as well, and then that vox vocal comes back in again. So yeah, I kind of just broke it up and then repeated the section again, but just changed a little bit. So after the little crash and the effect I have here, I put a little bit of delay on it from Ascend and Return, and it's this from Waves again. I always use this on my Ascend and Returns. So yeah, just because there's a little bit of space there between when the chord comes in and when the acapella ends. So you'll see it now. Look, here's the effect from Predator. It's just a preset. The crashes and then a little bit of delay, and it just makes a nice little transition. 9 to 5, your hips are jerking, grab your partner, move to the music. You got the body, now you gotta use it. Yeah, you know the deal, so I want you to feel. And then when the bass and the drums come back in, I done 16 bars of the acapella. I wasn't really too sure, but it doesn't repeat itself that much in the track, so yeah, I just left it in there before the chord comes back in. So,
grab your partner, move to the music. You got the body, now you gotta use it. Yeah, you know the deal, so I want you to feel. Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself. To get in this groove, we're getting funky. The beat is working, now grab your partner.
Same again, and then I can't remember what I talked about this, but I put this preset on the vocal. So I had two options. I'm gonna play a solo.
Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself. To get in this groove, we're getting funky.
So I'm gonna leave it listen dry.
Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself. To get in this groove, we're getting funky. The beat is working.
It's alright, but I put this on then, and the difference.
Pump the bass up, make that move.
Just sounds a bit more lively. I also had this option I couldn't really pick, but I thought the second one was a bit more subtle. But here we go. I'll just give you a little listen. So what I was thinking about putting on it.
Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself.
I think it's a little bit too in your face.
Pump the bass up, make that move, prepare yourself.
So
We're getting this groove, we're getting funky. The beat is working, 9 to 5. Your hips are jerking. Grab your partner, move to the music. You got the body, now you gotta use.
I just repeated it, and then done the same again with the Vox and the chord, and just let it go a little bit longer to finish the track.
Grab your partner, move to the music. You got the body, now you gotta use it. Yeah, you know the deal, so I want you to feel.
So yeah, that's it. We will leave it there, folks. That's all the important bits of the track. If you want to make something similar, you can kind of copy what I done here, or not even copy, just use it as a reference. And if you find your own a cappella and you put your own drums and bass on it, you're gonna get a completely different result. But yeah, I thought it was just a good little one to break down. Might give you some ideas for your own tracks. So yeah, we'll leave it there, gang. If you want to support the channel, tell me what you want to see in the future videos. If you want to like, subscribe if you haven't already, that'll help me a lot. And we have a sample pack in the description. There's a free one that you can download that has loads of cool stuff in it. So if you want to check us out first, there's a free one there. All you need to put in is your email address. You can download it and it'll get sent to your email as well. And then we also have a paid one which has loads of stuff. I think it has like 2.5, nearly 3 gigs of samples in there. There's spoken word vocals, there's modular sounds, there's stabs, synths, literally everything, atmospheres, textures. Yeah, they have a little video on it. If you look through the channel, you'll see a previous video that I go through all the samples. There's some little jam videos in there as well where I'm actually using the samples. So yeah, if you want to grab that, we'll appreciate it a lot, and it'll definitely help you in your productions. So we'll leave it there, and again, if you want to like, subscribe and tell me what you want to see, I'll appreciate that a lot. Nice one, gang.